Hello everybody, welcome to the second class in software architectures. Today we'll talk about integrated communication diagrams. So as usual, we will start with an introductions and then we will see how we can link between the analysis and the design. Then we will see the step of designing and developing the integrated communication diagrams. And lastly, we will end with some guidelines on how we can separate our system into subsystems. So let's get started. In last class, we talked about software architectures. There, we learned how to develop or how to study the system from different views and how to develop some diagrams. For example, we learn how to develop the system or subsystem class diagram and subsystem conversation structuring diagram, also as the structured diagram, and then we learn also how to develop the subsystem communication diagram as a dynamic views and how to develop the deployment diagram as deployment views. And before that, also in analysis modeling phase, we learn also how to develop the, for example, the composite class diagram, communication diagram, or interaction communication diagram, also the sequence diagram, and before that, we learn also the structure, the state chart diagrams, and all of these diagrams and other diagrams, it was based on the use cases. So for each use case, it's not always, but almost for each use case, we develop one diagram. All these modeling actually it was based on use cases. So as a result, since we have now many use cases, so we will come out with different diagrams. For example, we will come out with many sequence diagrams, also many communication diagrams. So since the software architectures is the first step of the design, and before we go to the design, the details, we should come out with a one or with a single diagram that combine all the communication diagram, for example, for all use cases. So for all use cases, we should have only one communication diagram. So this is the integrated communication diagrams, which is combining all the use cases into one, all the communication diagram of the use cases into one communication diagram. It's called integrated communication diagrams. And this integrated communication diagram actually it's a general communication diagram that's combine all the use cases in one diagram. So this is the communication diagram. As we said, the communication diagram can be based on the sequence diagram or communication diagram. They said this integrated communication diagram or these integrated diagrams which combine all the use cases can be based on the sequence diagram or communication diagrams. However, it's preferable to use communication diagram because the idea here now to show the communication between different components of the system. And communication diagram actually show the interaction between these components, while the sequence is show the sequence and the message between them. So it's better to use communication diagram to develop these integration diagrams. So here in this class, we will develop these communication or this integrated diagram or this integration diagram based on communication diagram. So we call it integrated communication diagrams. So what's the integrated communication diagrams? Actually, it's an overview of the whole system. Actually, this diagram actually gives an overview of all the use cases in the system. So this integrated communication diagram actually represent all the interaction of the systems, all the interaction of the object inside the systems. In communication or in integrated communication diagrams, actually, we used to show all the communication and message. However, if we show all the message, maybe the system or the diagram will be massive and louder. So it's better to ignore some message. For example, the sequence numbering in the message should not be shown